Hey, what's up? I just wanted to introduce you to Lucy because we're going to be talking about something very spicy today. She looks a little bored. While she's still a little bored, I'm going to warn you that we're talking about some very highly sensitive topic, uh, a very sensitive topic today. But I wanted to start it off the call, the broadcast off right with a little bit of love from Lucy, because that's pretty much to one of the main things, my main squeeze that I turn to get that love. So I'm just giving a couple seconds for people to file on here because I had a lot of client revelations going on in the people that I've been helping. Hey, Kara, what's up? And let me know where you're tuning in from. This gives a good little thread of hey, am I, Kara? Don't ever cheat on her. Okay, cool. We're talking about it because it's been such a thin thing that everybody kind of goes through or has some sort of an experience with, but we are too ashamed to talk about it. Barrie, Ontario, what's up? Happy 4th of July to my American friends. Happy extra long weekend to many Canadians who are taking that. My name is Dr.Nima Rahmany. For those of you who haven't met me before, you don't know who I am. Chiropractor for the past 16 years, struggling in my practice not because of a lack of patients, but because of the fact that these patients are all coming in with stress-related disorders. And I was finding that I was only working on the end stages of it, although correcting spinal misalignment was so important in preserving and restoring health. I was more interested in the conversations that led to the cause of the stress in the first place. And so just following my heart and my gut and my intuition, I've started creating these workshops, which started taking over, and my time, my effort, my energy, my love. And it was like a calling that I started to obey the voice inside. And that voice inside was basically saying, really teach people the truth of why they get stressed in the first place. Because stress-related disorders, which we're about to share, I'm going to share some case studies about how these stress-related disorders are impacting their health, but what's creating the stress in the first place, what I've observed after being a coach and mentor in a program called Powerfully Aligned, which helps people get aligned with their highest version of themselves, with their authentic truth, so that they can speak with power and clear the shame and the guilt and all of the things emotional are impacting your health. So as I made that transition, I was working with clients who were dealing with anxiety and stress-related disorders. And when we unpack their lives, rather than what I do, I don't treat disorders. What I do with my team, for those of you who are clients in my program, we unpack all of the lies. We unpack all of these half visions and the inauthenticities that we live with. Those lacks of integrity are actually what is creating the problems in the first place. Hey, Amanda, what's up, girl? What I learned and what has been revealed to me after seeing, having almost 100 people go through my program and tying that into anxiety is that anxiety, in a lot of cases, is a distraction from a lie. Is a distraction from an inauthenticity. And where are we most inauthentic? What I've discovered is in our, and the journey of helping people through their fears, slaying their dragons and getting real with their lives and getting truthful and taking off the mask is a very interesting journey, which is, as I'm observing my clients go through them, it's forcing me to look at myself. And I look in my life, I'm divorced. I divorced from Maria about 5 years ago. And I look at who I was in the marriage and what I thought about myself and the opinions that I had about myself and my shames and my guilts and complete inauthenticity. And you might relate as well. If you're in a relationship, chances are there's a lot about you that you don't feel comfortable sharing, but you'll share it with your hairdresser, you'll share it with your chiropractor, you'll share it with your friends, out for drinks or out for coffee. Share it with your partner. And what happens is this lack of authenticity, which is created out of love, out of fear of abandonment. If I share my truth and I tell you how I feel, or what my fantasies are, what my sexual fantasies are, they're going to think I'm weird, and then they're going to leave me. And then I'm going to be alone. What's up, my brother, Ricardo? Good to talk to you, my friend. So what I've observed when I look at my own life is I had moments in my relationships in the past where I was seeing one person and I was getting attention and affection from other women. And I have this story, and I have had this story, even I got married with this story in my mind, that I can't really commit to one woman because there's a dark part of me that requires and needs attention from many different women in order for myself to feel complete about myself. So this was the story that was unconscious. I wasn't even aware of that this was what I was running on. And the impact of that had been pretty much not being real in any relationship that I've ever been in. I haven't been able to tell the truth. I will outwardly commit or not really commit. Just give the girlfriend just a little bit of myself, just enough to keep her still engaged in the relationship, but not all in full. Because I knew that there was this dark part of me that couldn't really shut off or burn any bridges of all other options because of that inauthenticity. So what I would do is I would show up as a watered down version of myself in relationships. I would basically be lying to myself that I could commit. Maybe thinking to myself, well, I'm 31. Everyone around me, all my friends in my social circle are getting married. I might as well should too. My parents' cultural expectations and norms, Nima, you really should. And Nima, you should. But in the back of my mind, knowing that I couldn't commit to one and then have her withdraw her love and affection and then me feel completely lost. And so that was a very, very difficult time for me because I in me feeling extreme feelings of guilt, extreme feelings of a lack of power, so I would try to compensate for that inauthenticity by showing off, by becoming super successful, by aggrandizing myself to compensate that extreme amount of a lack of love of myself because of that little dark passenger. It's a term that I use with my clients and in the overview experience, which is coming up in Vancouver this weekend, that we all have this little dark part of ourselves that feels that we're unworthy and not good enough out in different ways. You might do it by snorting cocaine. Another person will do it because they will do their bulimia or anorexia, food disorders they have. Some of you will display it. We all have an expression of a dark passenger. My expression just so happened to be getting tons of attention from different girls, the many, just in case that one that I'm with, that I've committed to, is pissed off at me. My biggest fear is she's pissed off at me and I don't have the tools to fix it. I can't throw money at it. I just can't. And so I'm just going to make sure that I get that elsewhere so that I can just live with myself. Do you know what I'm talking about? How many of you guys know what I'm sharing, what I'm talking about? If you can relate, or if that's it. So this is how I was being. This is the state of mind of who I was being in my marriage. And so the first sign of trouble that I couldn't handle connection, I was convinced that the marriage is over. I can't fix it. I'm throwing money at it. I'm doing all of this. She's not connecting because it's not, thank you for sharing that, Amanda. It's good to know. I couldn't connect to her. So in all of my efforts in all of the efforts that I made, it wouldn't work. So I'm just going to leave the marriage. And that's what I did. I hastened the ending of the marriage. I tried to get out as quickly as I could because I made her the villain that couldn't solve my own inadequacy. So if you are listening, Jen, thank you, my dear. If you are listening and you are judging yourself for being a cheater, just know that you're not alone. In fact, the majority of the people who have started working their anxiety or whatever, there happens to be an inauthenticity there. I know three of my clients with anxiety and compulsive disorders, okay, were or still are, and we're unpacking and working through infidelity issues. In fact, they had affairs within their marriage, and they haven't really understood and unpacked it. They just convinced themselves that they're horrible people. And in order to deal with that inauthenticity, they get anxiety, so they go to the doctor and they take pills. But that's not getting rid of the root cause. That's probably the fatal flaw that you can make, is getting these symptoms and not talking to the appropriate expert. Your doctor is not an expert. Your doctor is not an expert. They will, your GP especially, they take a list of symptoms and they go, oh, you have generalized anxiety disorder. You have a disorder. They don't know how to unpack the fact that you're a fucking liar. It's not in their, and it's not their fault. All of my cousins are doctors. They're very loving and heart-opening, heart-centered human beings that are raised in the whole science and reductionistic model that doesn't really unpack your lies and your inauthenticities. You and I both freaking know it. If you're holding in, this is one of the clients that I have is still currently holding in an inauthenticity and hasn't come clean with her ex about her infidelity. And it's just burning up inside that she's like, it's here. I just want it to come out. And guess what her compulsive behavior is bulimia. So the bulimia is an unconscious strategy, becomes an unconscious strategy to hide yourself, to distract yourself from the fact that I'm a freaking liar and I just don't want to deal with it and unpack it because it's too scary. Approaching these people is way too scary. It is. Believe me, it's not easy picking up the phone and calling your ex-girlfriends or whoever and sharing where you've been a lying sack of crap. It's possible. And the way that we do it is, I've been working two men in my program, one chiropractor and one businessman, completely feeling purposeless. Why is this important? If you don't get this right, you will feel stuck, feeling purposeless, a complete lack of power, not knowing what to do, beating yourself up constantly with guilt because you're holding on to this delusion that I shouldn't have cheated at the time. Okay? Now, this is going to sound very trigger happy to many of you, especially if you've been hurt by somebody being cheating on you. But if you have ever done that, you want to look back and ask, I've never cheated, but my ex cheated on me. I totally pushed him away because I wasn't being loved the way I wanted. So of course he'll go looking out. Dishonesty and denial caused him to dig his hole even deeper through his alcoholism, endless cycle. Spoken like a true badass. Thank you, Kara. And which leads me to the point is that why you cheat is very simple. Why I cheated was because of a lack of love for myself. I did not feel complete and whole within myself, number one. And number two, I did not know how to communicate. I was judging myself for my dark passenger, for my darkness, and I had no idea how to communicate my needs and state what's so without judging my partner for reacting to it. Holding space means being aware of your own feelings and being aware of the other person's feelings and allowing them to process. So I didn't know at the time if I could go to my wife and tell her, I'm having these feelings about other women. I'm constantly find myself feeling disconnected from you. So all I can do is find it in pornography. All I can do is find it in trying to get attention from other girls who are giving me attention. Other women in the salsa scene. I was doing everything I could to fill on the outside what I was lacking inside. And so when I got that, the judgment of myself dissolved, and I can approach very, very honest with what my needs were. So case study number one, a client of mine who started developing health problems soon after she caught her husband watching porn. He was involved in the war, so he did some time in Korea. She's a white woman. He's into all this Asian. Okay, she catches him watching that, and all of a sudden decides at that moment that he's doing it because she's not good enough. Truth be told, he's doing it because he doesn't know how to communicate what his fantasies are to his woman without feeling judged. That's why he's doing it. We all have fantasies. I got some perverted fantasies, just like my fantasies are just as fucked up as yours. The difference is I have stopped judging myself with them. Number one, there's a process that takes to dissolve your dark passenger. Number two, I've learned the art of communicating what those fantasies are to my partner and allowing her to have her own triggers about it and not make it mean about me. And I've learned the art of allowing her to share her fantasies towards me, however perverted they are, and not make it mean that I'm not enough. See, that's the problem that causes inauthenticity in marriages, in relationships like mine, was that if I perceived, or if you create the space that your partner will be judged for how they feel or what their desires are, guess what? They're going to have them, and they're going to tell them to their barber and their friends, to their hairstylist. They're not going to share it with you because they don't feel safe around you. Create a space of openness for your partner to be able to share that, and you not make it mean that they're perverted or they're weird, then chances are a safe space for a safe preventative space for infidelity. So I didn't believe that to share what my fantasies were. Or I did, or I felt wrong about it, and I didn't know how to get what I wanted from my woman. I didn't know. I didn't know how to make her feel safe, to get exactly what it is that I wanted, so that I could be real, unapologetically real, and have her feel exactly as she feels and not make her wrong about it. And then I can get what I want. So we cheat because, number one, and we haven't yet learned the art of dissolving the judgment. This is the overview process that I go through with all my clients. And it's amazing what happens when we unpack it and then we don't feel that ourselves. All of a sudden, we get connected with power, and then that allows us to then, number two, communicate our desires to our partner, our fantasies to our partner, and number three, hold space as a container for them to feel as they feel and share their fantasies, and that other person doesn't feel wrong for it. So if you've cheated, it's because you've convinced yourself that you can't be safe expressing the real you in front of your partner. One of my clients had convinced it, and she held on to a lie. She got married in the not so in a very traditional sense, with ultra religious sense. Father was a pastor, kind of semi-arranged the marriage to another pastor. And so she wasn't fully in love, but she just was trying to be a good girl, but that with who she was, and soon after started developing anxiety symptoms. And after a certain period of time, this inauthentic, you can't be yourself. When you feel yourself somewhere, you're going to go seek it. You're going to go looking for places where you can feel safe to be real. And she found that somewhere else. And she expressed it, and then all of a sudden completely judged herself. And for 25, 30 years, she's been living with paralyzing anxiety, grief, beating herself up, and going to the doctors, being convinced that she has a mental illness. 25 to 30 years taking anti-anxiety medication problems, because this is the throat chakra and you just can't really speak. Developing thyroid issues based on infidelity. I know a hormone imbalance hormone coach who went through the exact same thing with an infidelity. And so it's all tied in. In fact, I'm willing to bet you, if you're a woman with hormone imbalance issues, hormones, sex organs, there is a story of infidelity and a lie or an inauthenticity you're holding on to, and the anxiety and the that you're going through are just distractions because you don't want to go and tell the truth. So you're going to go to one doctor and a nutritionist and all that, everything to try to avoid getting real. And so that's why I don't work with those people. I've become strict with the people that I will work with. I do an interview process when people apply to work with me and join the program, and I disqualify several. I say, I'm sorry, you're not ready. The last 2 people who applied, I said, I'm sorry, you're not ready for this, because what we're going to get you to do, you're not prepared to do. Because if you want to heal and get your life back and then find that power and freedom and then dial back into your marriage, or if you're in a relationship limbo and you just don't know, should I stay or should I go? All of that needs to be cleaned up first. Because once you clean that up, you'll be surprised. One of my clients, they were on the brink of divorce and there was an inauthenticity. There was a lie. And, she was convinced that she just didn't want to tell it. And she was convinced that this lie was the way that it was going to be. And so it's because that he can't give me what I want. Soon as he started enrolling in the program and really getting engaged with becoming aligned with himself and learning the art of communication and holding space, she felt safe. She started sharing all this stuff from the past. Recent past came up. The lie was uncovered. We thought that this would just end it, but guess what that did? It got them stronger, and they're now rebuilding, in the rebuilding phase, because the mask was taken off. So infidelity and inauthenticity, I know the game. I lived it. And it only happens, number one, when you are feeling a lack of love. Okay, and I'm going to explain to you why. This is the big reveal, will come in just a minute when I explain to you why that lack of love happens. And it's the biggest revelation that I had, working with dozens and dozens of people with the same issue over the past 6 months. Okay, it's like it's a pandemic. The reason why I'm doing this Facebook Live is because it's become a pandemic. It's not become, it is. It's happening. We're not talking about it. I'm a chiropractor. What business do I have talking about it? Well, it's impacting your health, and you're going to the doctor with chronic pains. One of my clients, she's dealt with this infidelity ex-husband, and she cheated on him and left him and hasn't really restored. And now she's having chronic pain, and she's trying to get chiropractic care, and she's trying to get it fixed. But once we started unpacking the guilt, she felt lighter. The chronic pain kind of was exercised out of her body. And that chiropractic principle is, getting yourself aligned so that the brain and body can function properly. Well, if you're telling a lie and you're not authentically aligned with the highest version of yourself, then this is chiropractic principle, getting yourself aligned. There's a flow of healing, not just in the body, but then in the relationships itself. Relationship limbo is caused by lies, by inauthenticity. And the announcement, the big announcement I'm making is that my Powerfully Aligned program basically is now gearing towards people who are ready to start to live a life of power in their relationship. I'll tell you how it happened with me. It was a huge revelation for me. And what happened was, it was pretty daunting when I when I realize every single relationship that I'm getting into, every relationship ends up the same. I don't commit. I'm not really engaged all in because I'm judging my little dark passenger. I know deep down I'm never going to settle down with one person, because what if that one person withdraws their love? I don't have the tools to be able to reconnect. So what I did was I started working on myself, and this is the solution. This is what you need to do to work on yourself. I hired a coach to call me out on my crap and to unpack all of the lies and to stop judging myself and understand why I behaved exactly. And my story was, what's yours? I'm a twin. My twin had health issues growing up, and so he spent the majority of time with my parents, who were really concerned about him. So I felt this detachment from mom, detachment from love. And so this is not a blame game, by the way. My mom was doing an awesome job that she could at the time to be able to, deal with her fears of a child that she thought was not going to live. My brother was sick and all that. So my story of I don't have enough attention from the primary female caregiver became an obsession of mine to compensate for. So it would show up, the impact of that showed up was me not really engaging with one, because it was never safe to be with one in my mind. It was never safe. Restore that with that one. So I'm just going to make sure that I keep many on the side, just in case this one doesn't work out and I can. So you got to unpack those stories, and you don't see your own blind spots. And if you don't get this right, what'll happen is you will resent your past. You'll be mad at mom. You'll be mad at dad. 3 of my clients who are having affairs, guess what they were pissed off about? They are pissed about their father who cheated on mom. And they would just do everything they could to never end up like that. And guess what happens? They end up becoming fucking cheaters themselves, because they haven't yet learned to love dad. And so the work becomes to take off the mask and get real, humble yourself, and learn to love your past. Learn how to, and that's not easy. Dissolving regret is probably the most challenging thing that I have to do with my clients. Resistance is very tough. Your biggest challenge will be to love your parents for who they are. If you find, who is this for? It's for you who's labeling your dad as a narcissistic philanderer, which is what I hear from a lot of people. My mother was an abusive alcoholic. My father was a narcissistic philanderer. Those are the people, those are the red flags that you're holding a regret, and it's messing up with your life. Okay, but when you get this right, all of a sudden you restore love with that, with your past, your connection with your primary caregivers, mom, dad, becomes stronger, and then you feel a sense of wholeness and completeness. You realize that you weren't lacking love. The reason why we're out there cheating is because of a perceived lack of love in the first place. So it's up to you to step up. Instead of trying to not do it, it's not going to work, because we got to go after that feeling of a lack of love. And when I did, number 1, and number 2, completed the past, number 2, and I saw that I was loved. The second part is the art of communication, of restoring integrity where there was a breakdown due to lies. And that's the most challenging part. And this is where Werner Erhard's work came in, and all the studying and the teaching and the work that I did outside of my day-to-day work to take this work on. I have now, as a result, been able to manifest a relationship where I'm not apologizing for who I am and what my past is and what my tendencies are when I feel this perceived lack of love. I've now learned how to speak up powerfully and ask for what I want, and ask her what she wants. I could learn how to give her what she wants while getting what I want and being truthful the entire way. And what's resulted is such an authentic relationship in my life. For I've actually never had a kind of relationship where I could be in such a place where I'm feeling this disconnection, and then I'll go and do CrossFit, and there's this hot Brazilian woman working out, and then my mind is starting to go there, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, and I can come home and feel my dark passenger coming up, and then share and understand she may be triggered and hold space for her, but simply by the sharing, I can diffuse those feelings because they're going to come up over and over again. I'm 40, and, I do the best that I can to take care of myself. I have a high value on physical health, appearance, all, I'm vain as fuck. And so I appreciate those somebody who takes pride in their appearance, and I'll note it. And when I do, that's and it's part of my darkness, same as you. As long as I honor that and I say what's so, I get to empty it. But what I used to do before was I didn't have the ability to communicate that because I was afraid of being judged. Why was I afraid of being judged? Because I was in my darkness in the first place. Loving your dark passenger is critical. If you have the history of it, then chances are you and I share the same dark passenger. Welcome. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that your father was a bad person. It doesn't mean that your mother was. It means you haven't yet learned how to complete it. You do, the space opens up for a magical connection with somebody that you would have never dreamed, but it's possible. I'm creating it as we speak. Amanda, you're listening. I didn't think that it would be possible, but it's not about her. Amanda is an incredible human being, but I can congruently that the reason why I manifested that quality of a relationship was because of who I became, who I invested myself into becoming. With the training, the effort, the tears, the hard work, the conversations, the disgustingly uncomfortable conversations, calling my exes and getting complete with them. Calling my parents, having conversations with my parents and getting complete with them. It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. And you have to feel that you're not alone. So the announcement that I'm making is I'm creating a type of individual. The type of individual who is judging the shit out of themselves for being a cheating bastard. You're in good company. You're not alone. And in my program, you'd be among working their asses off to create an incredibly inspiring with the current partner that they have. The crazy thing is, when I worked with the people who were cheating and they were crying and they're really, if it's not about that other person, I would have rather been able to have this with my spouse. I would have rather been able to have what I'm missing, but I'm getting here outside with my partner. The good news is you learned how to communicate properly and hold space and complete your past and be a container for your partner and hold them to the highest regard and do the work yourself. You'll be able to create marriage. Or you can find out, if you're in a limbo state and you're not sure and you're ready to call it quits, you can actually find out what that's going to, like, you can actually find out congruently that this isn't the match for you and that you're supportive of each other, both finding people that each other can really be connected and happy with without making it mean that you're inadequate. What an incredible experience. I can ex-wife and be of service if I can help, because I want her to get connected with somebody, and I know her, she would love the same for me without making it mean she's unworthy. because the unpacking process and the diving in and going into inquiry and getting that strategic feedback, it's a lot of work. But I can tell you that there's nothing more worth its work. So I'm opening the door right now for 3 coaching spots of a conversation, of an interview for you if you relationship limbo and judging the crap out of yourself and you want the art of getting real with a partner and create a possibility of having a relationship that's based on like authentic and being loved for who you are, and dare I say it, loving that asshole for who they are, by learning powerful communication strategies, powerful strategies of getting real, and by going into your darkness with a group of people who are doing the same. Send me a private message, but this is not for everybody. This is not for you if you want to be running on your little story about how that person's, they've hurt you and yeah, I get it, you're hurt, or you're just, this is for those who want to take responsibility. This is not about blame. This is not about if you're wrong, because this is not really what it's about. We are all human beings. We all have our flaws, and we all have a deep desire to connect and be loving with each other. I know that about you. Maybe, but I know that about you because that's a universal for all of us. We learn how to dance with our dark passenger. And dancing with your dark passenger doesn't mean throwing it away and never, never having this thing. It's part of me. I have it. This little slut/commitment phobe turned, all in a relationship hasn't had work and a great deal of strategic feedback and hiring the right people who I trust to really tell it like it is, even though it's going to hurt my feelings. But a humbling is required. In fact, when you first start, it's going into that darkness. It's not comfortable at all. Side is a power within yourself and a love of yourself, which opens the door for you to create a relationship based on love that matches the love that you have for yourself. And it feels really good to look in a mirror and love yourself, because I wasn't there. I wasn't able to look in a mirror. I didn't even like the way I look. I even think when I look at pictures of, they pop up on frickin' Facebook every goddamn day, I looked at my face and my physical being, and I didn't feel that I was very attractive, even physically. But when I look now and I see how I look and I feel about myself because of doing all this work, I feel a deeper sense of love for myself. And it doesn't come from a place of ego. It comes from a place of acknowledgement. But that's actually a part of my genius too. And it's that I have to offer to humanity. And I know that there's a lot, but I'm a work in progress. And I know that as I keep staying true to the work, that doors open for me, miracles happen for me, and I feel a sense of love and connection in my life right now that I've never felt before, to family, to friends, to my partner. I never felt this when I was married. I never felt this when I was practicing as a chiropractor and kind of, yearning for more. Right now, my heart feels so full because of what I'm doing. And what I'm doing is I'm helping people who are stuck in relationship limbo, judging themselves, feeling anxiety, this transition. I help them get powerfully aligned with themselves so that they can have deeper, more meaningful relationships, and thereby their hormone problems, digestive problems, autoimmune problems. One of the clients in my program came in with an autoimmune disorder where she couldn't make tears, corneas was scratched up, constant chronic fatigue, unable to work. And within 3 months, she has her life again. She's able to have tears. Her eyes are healing. Her body is healing. She's now able to speak up and speak for herself. She goes through breakdowns, but the breakdowns, like all of us, we go through that, but the cycle, the refractory period goes like this, and we're back on top, So Kara basically said, if you need this coaching spot, take it. Message Nima now. It's hard work. Will make you feel the price of your relationships is so much. You'll have the greatest feelings you'll never thought. You'll be stronger than you'll ever imagine. Thank you so much, Kara. Kara is a client of mine and just an overall badass, single, her own transition, called me at a time of transition in her relationship, has been able to restore a powerful relationship of co-parenting. And it's just so inspiring to see you do the work. And you're the epitome of the creation and being the cause and the matter of love in your whole family. And it's so great to see your photos on Facebook and seeing everybody in your world and in your society benefiting because of the ripple effect of the work that you took on. So, and it's just an honor to be able to work with you and help you get over your little victim story. That's what we do. The last real part is, in order for you to have your amazing relationship, you got to get complete with your past ones, which including mom and dad, which means you got to get over your fucking victim story. You were huge too, making that happen. God bless you. I'm the facilitator. You're the one that does the work. I am a leader, and that's what people say. You got to save me. One of my clients says, I leave my life in your hands. No, 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 no. You are your savior, just like Kara, you are. The guide, me and my amazing team with Amanda and George and Eilina, who have all been through their journeys with relationships. And I just want to take a moment of gratitude to honor my team, my staff, Alex and George and Eilina. And this post has given me some valuable pieces to complete my personal puzzle. Love you too, Mario Lane. Alex and Jen, George, Eilina, and Amanda, my team, Laura as well, and every single client of mine, like Mario Lane and Kara, every single client of mine who takes on this difficult work, because it's difficult work to look inside darkness, and these people have been taking it on and going through the ups and the downs and learning how to manage. That's really what it's about. When you're powerfully aligned, you can take adversity and opportunity. And the biggest adversity that I've noticed as of late has been the adversity of self-judgment that comes when you are holding on to shame and guilt from a past infidelity. So if you're dealing with infidelity, either you've been cheated on or you are currently, and you're of the opinion that you want to take on being the cause of a relationship filled with having what you want and being able to give the other person what they want and fulfilling each other's fantasy, you know, whether you do it yourself or you freaking delegate it. I mean, I've now gotten to the place of working through my jealousies so that if Amanda came up to me and says, okay, so I have this fantasy that involves this, 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 and this, and it starts to confront and conflict and start to wonder, is it because I'm not good enough? I'm able to work through that and do everything that I can if I want her to be a part of my life, to be able to be the facilitator of her getting all her needs met. Because if she is giving me whatever it is that I want, I'm going to do everything that I can to be the cause in looking at me as the one that's going to be able to make her all of her dreams come out, whatever it is that she wants. And it's the lack of communication and the fear of actually getting real and telling the truth that stops us from having this conversation with our partners. We just, ironic that our spouse, we are fearing their abandonment if we tell the truth because of our past wounds. So if you and you're wanting to be the cause in getting back into power, send me a private and I will see if you qualify. And I'm going to, basically what I do in this call is uncover the truth with you with no judgment. And we create a strategy and what you need to do in order to have that fulfilling relationship, get your health back. This goes out to a couple of my clients who did the difficult work and restored that integrity, you know, got their health back. And that client who started having this affair after her I didn't finish the story, her husband, she caught her husband with watching porn and decided that she no longer was good enough, cheating. and having an affair for 7 years, and then developed endometriosis as a result of the. Soon after, her body started shutting down. My friend, I told him the story. He goes, well, she just got anxiety of the uterus. And so when she had her uterus taken out, 1 month later, boom, she gets panic attacks and anxiety, trying to go to different doctors and all this stuff. She calls me, and I told her, are you ready to get real? She said, yes. And we took on the difficult work, and her anxiety after she restored with her father. And it turns out her father had cheated on her mother. And so her resentment towards her father caused her to become like him. So if you have had a past story of infidelity of mom and dad, it's going to play out in a weird way in your life. And if you haven't learned feedback in unpacking it, then consider that you should have a little messed up, inauthentic relationship, and you just haven't had the right help. Get the right help, though. Going to a counselor and telling your story and trying to be right is going to work. Unfortunately, that's what a lot of that is. I'm not interested in keeping you stuck in your story. It's about and email your story, and then we work on unpacking it so that 3 months you look at and you go, who the hell was that person? You become unrecognizable. I look at myself and I'm completely unrecognizable to who I was 1 year ago because of the work that I've taken on. So it's so fulfilling. I left my chiropractic practice. This is what I do now. This is the most fulfilling thing. It's the adjustment above Atlas. I help. It's funny, a lot of chiropractors this purposeless feeling and feeling stuck in their marriages, and that's impacting their practice. They'd go into practice management companies. They try to learn how to get more new patients and all that stuff. And I don't work on that at all. I have chiropractors coming to me, and we just get them aligned with themselves. The patients just come in response to who you're being. Your success will happen in direct response to who you're being. I'm now doing better than I did when I was in chiropractic because of who I've become. Not because I'm doing any gimmicks or anything. I'm just sharing authentically. I don't have anything to sell to you right now. I don't have like 3 easy payments, whatever. I'm not even sure that you're right for working. I'm interested in talking to those who are actually ready to solve this problem. So send me a private message and I'd love to chat with you. I have 3 openings today. And I'm doing a talk tonight in Vancouver. If you're in Vancouver, get your ass there at the YWCA. Go to my website, Dr.Nima.com. I put the link in the comments. Please check it out and join us. If you are wanting to unpack it completely and create the relationships in your life, not just relationships of friends and a team. Like, I'm so blessed that my team is flying in from all over Canada just to be part of the overview experience, because the space is created with such love and authenticity that did. And my team is coming, and one of the cool parts about these overview experiences, not only do we all get to experience transformation in a room, but I get to be connected with my team. Everyone's staying at my place, and we're going to have like my place. I didn't have these relationships that I did before. I didn't have the quality of relationships that I did before because I didn't know how to tell the truth in my relationships. And now that I do, I love teaching it to others, and what their anxieties go away. Their health starts to improve. They start to find themselves, they start to isolate themselves less. They love being around people and hanging out and being social, whereas before, Carl, my brother, I will see you Saturday, Carl, Peru. Actually, you're coming tomorrow. Love to see you before that too. But Carl's coming. He's a former schoolmate of mine from Canadian Memorial Chiropractic. And I totally look forward to hanging out with you. I really, really love workshops. I live for them. They're so cool. So if you have any questions, was this useful? Do you have any questions? I'll leave a few minutes for Q&A. This was a long broadcast. Thanks for sticking around for those that have. Let me know if this resonated with you. If you're struggling right now and you have a choice, you can just keep going and try to figure it out on your own. You can reach out. There's no charge for this conversation. I have today ready for people who want to help learn how to unpack it and create a strategy. And if you're ready, then I might invite you to become a client. This no guarantee. it's not the right, because if I'm spending 3 months with you, I got to like you, and I got to see that you're willing to at least learn how to get real, as these badasses are in my mastermind group. So Kara, thank you for feedback. Mario Lane as well, thank you. I'm glad that you participated and you enjoyed it. And this is for all of you who are looking to create amazing. I'm blessed to have been able to prove myself wrong, that this chronic guy could actually love himself enough and give himself permission to ask for what he wants, to make strong requests and declarations, and work towards being a container for my partner so that she can express herself with truth and not make her wrong, but to my truth and my desires, and not make myself wrong for it. And I just love the journey that I'm on, and I love that I'm working with, and the people that I work, the people that I get to mentor. It's such an honor to work with people who are committed to creating amazing lives for themselves, mind and the body, and to look as good as they can as they get older, to feel as vibrant and energetic, and be connected to a cause that's greater than them. So God bless you. If there's no other question, it might be a sensitive topic, so send me a private message. I'm here for you, and I'll see you at the next perfect time. God bless.